John starts running to reach her, trying to call her. But his friend takes the phone from her. Jane tries to escape, but he stops her and assaults her. John arrives and argues with him, hitting him and comforting Jane. But his friend comes from behind and attacks him, attempting to strangle him. However, she arrives in time and hits him, and the security comes and arrests him. Afterward, Jane cleans her wound and apologizes to him for what happened because of her. But John reassures her, saying he was worried about her, and apologizes for not arriving on time. Then, John finds his brother waiting for him, talking to him, and asking him why he didn't hit the person who hit him. John tells him that he can't forget his past when he used to be beaten as a child, and he's used to enduring beatings without retaliation. His brother's words affect him, and John leaves him and goes to his apartment. At night, he is sleeping and dreaming nightmares that his brother is hitting him. He wakes up frightened, crying. When Yoon returns from work, he finds him afraid and temperling. He goes to reassure him. The next day, Jane wears a beautiful dress and goes to meet John as they agreed, but he is late. When she calls him, he tells her he won't be able to meet her. Jane worries and goes to check on him, but she finds him locked in his room and decides to leave him alone and not pressure him. He sees her leaving and tries to talk to her, but she refuses and leaves him. Chuck feels worried because their relationship is tense and he continued drinking. He sees Ron sitting beside him and asks for her number, but she refuses. He tells her it's not the first time he's been rejected, and she apologizes and asks him to engage in conversation with her. After that, John thanks Yoon for being with him and knows from him that Jin came to see him yesterday. He is surprised and goes to meet her, apologizing for not contacting her yesterday and explaining that he didn't want her to see him in that state. Jane hugs him and tells him she'll be there for him whenever he needs her. Afterward, Professor Park organizes a camping trip at the university, but no one signs up for it. Dr. S mocks him, but later John learns about it and joins her along with his peers. Professor Park is delighted to see them, and they continue playing together, having a good time. At night, they gather around a fire and start playing the confession game. Chan asks fans of someone in attendance to put down their fingers, surprising everyone and making them curious about the fan next to them. Then, they play the memory game, where each person talks about their life and painful memories. John recalls a memory from his childhood when his brother was crying and asking for forgiveness, feeling amazed. When John asks him what happened, he tells him that he doubts the validity of his memories and that he needs to confirm them to know the truth. He prepares to meet his brother on the way, but feels a headache and remembers another memory, where his father was hitting him, feeling confused. When he talks to his brother, he confesses to him that their father used to hit him when he was young. John is surprised and asks him why they didn't tell the truth before. His brother apologizes to him, and it becomes clear that he was kicking him out of the house to protect him from their abusive father. John expresses his gratitude to his brother for revealing the truth and returns to his apartment. Yoon also returns to the apartment feeling worried about John. When he finds him, he reassures him and shares everything that happened, discovering that his brother loved him and protected him from afar all this time. Meanwhile, Jen is also worried and wants to make sure John is okay, but she hesitates to pressure him and waits until he tells her personally. Ran can't sleep because she thinks Yun likes Shia, while Shia thinks he likes Ran. The next day, John meets with Jen and assures her that the misunderstanding between him and his brother has been resolved, and Jen expresses her joy, confirming that she was sure of his brother's love for him. Afterward, students in the lecture talk about their role models, and John chooses Yoon as his role model because he is diligent and dedicated, despite working multiple jobs, and always gets high grades. Jane also chooses Yoon as her role model, indicating that she trusts and relies on him, and Yoon feels embarrassed by their words. When they leave the lecture, Shia waits for Yoon and asks to talk to him, learning from him that the girl he likes is Ran. Shia confesses that she doesn't regret expressing her feelings to him, and she's happy to get to know him, thanking him for the opportunity to talk to him. Then she leaves. John takes a walk with Jane, and when they reach his apartment, he finds his mother inside the dwelling. She starts mocking him about the girl she saw him with. She asks him about his brother because she couldn't reach him, and he doesn't respond to her calls. Suddenly, his mother starts crying, and John notices bruises on her hands. He realizes that his father abuses her, and that she has been suffering from violence for a long time. His mother asks him not to talk to anyone about it, then she leaves defeated. John calls his brother and tells him what happened. He learns from his brother that he asked their mother more than once to leave the house and divorce, but she refused. Afterward, they talk about their father, and Yun discovers that their father was a police officer and used violence to protect their mother and brother. John tells his brother about the violence he experiences from their father and how he is suffering, surprising Yun because he didn't know the extent of his brother's suffering. Later, John Dad watches a video of him hitting his son. He then asks his driver to monitor him whenever John goes. His dad sees him in the university with Jean, while Ron is sleeping and dreaming about Yun is marrying Shia. When she wakes up, she feels panicked. The doctor advises her to talk to him before it's too late, so Ran encourages her and goes to confess her feelings to Yun, expressing her joy that this opportunity has arisen. They talk together and continue the crime. After that, Jane tells him about her life, informing him that her family separated when she was young, and her mother left home and departed. Jane is waiting for a call from her mother, but she hasn't called her. John tells her that she received a call from her mother a while ago, and feels confused about what to do. John encourages her to answer the call and talk to her mother sincerely, instead of giving in to sadness. Jane responds to John's advice and meets her mother, apologizing to her and expressing her longing for her. However, Jane's mother refuses, telling her that she needed her in the past, but now she can rely on herself. Jane feels frustrated and sad, crying, but John tries to calm her down and suggests that she needs time to forgive her mother. He holds her hand and encourages her to keep moving forward. The two of them walk together and are surprised to find the driver waiting for them, informing them that their father wants John home, which worries Jane, but John reassures her and tells her that everything will be okay, then leaves her with the driver and returns home. Jane goes to her brother's office and tells him that their father asked John to come home, which alarms her brother, prompting him to rush after him. While driving, John remembers a similar incident from his childhood when his father threatened to expose him if he hit him again and asked him to leave him alone, promising to fulfill his wishes. At the same time, John is at home, and his father shows him a video of himself being hit and demands that he return home to live under his care. But John strongly refuses, angering his father who tries to hit him, but his brother intervenes and stops him, and John leaves the room. John's brother faces their father and warns him not to approach his brother again, and it seems that his father is afraid of him. John's mother arrives and continues knocking on his door persistently, breaking down and crying. John remembers the same situation when he was little, but this time his mother calls the police and reports her husband for assaulting her and her children. John thanks his brother for his help and apologizes to him, then returns to his apartment where Yoon is waiting for him anxiously, so John tries to reassure him. John breaks down in tears, and Yoon stays by his side to comfort him. Days pass, and John remains depressed, isolated in his room without talking to anyone. The students at the university notice his absence and try to check on his condition through Jane, who herself finds it difficult to communicate with him, and the first thing he does is hug her and express his longing for her. John sits with Yoon and talks to him. Suddenly, their friend who had previously kidnapped Jane appears before them, apologizing to John for his actions and announcing his intention to leave the university. John refuses to allow him to ruin his life and demands that he apologize to Jane and start anew. His friend feels regret and remorse and agrees, then leaves. He apologizes to Jane in front of the students, breaking down in tears, and asks for her forgiveness, which Jane grants, expressing her forgiveness. After that, the professor enters and asks them for a project for the end of the semester, indicating that it's an opportunity to make up for previous project grades. He announces John's friend's enthusiasm and his team's agreement to the project, and they gather together to plan and prepare for it. While rumors spread about John's mother reporting her husband for violence, John's dad returns to his apartment and searches for her, but she isn't there. He's desperately trying to communicate with her. Then he talks to John saying he needs to change himself and apologize for the people he harmed. His father ignores his words and tries to hit him, but John stands up to him, asserting his change and his lack of fear of him anymore. John's father returns home and finds his son there, asking him to bring his mother back home, but he apologizes, saying he's tired from work and expresses his love for them. However, the son responds by saying he doesn't consider himself part of the family, indicating that he said this phrase before to someone close to him, and it hurt him, and it was John's brother who meant it. Later, we learn that Shia has left the dorm and moved from the university, and Jin, Ran, feel her absence and miss her, feeling that the dorm is tasteless without her. The next day, the team gathers to work on the project and suggests collaborating with the actress from the media department, and the actress agrees to help with the project. That same night, John cooks dinner and sits with Yun to eat together, and they converse and reconcile, continuing their dialogue in a friendly manner as siblings. The next day, Yun meets his brother and gives him a gift, and Yun discovers that they are memories from their father, and his brother talks about their father's desire for him to be a policeman like him, asking him to take care of himself a little and to stop worrying about them. Afterwards, the doctor discovers that the secretary has resigned due to marriage and asks the student who was helping her to take her place, but the doctor refuses after discovering the trick Jin did to write his name on the account. She asks him to work on improving himself. In the team meeting to work on the project, a decision is made to make the project address the aspects of light and darkness in each person's life in the team. On the day of the presentation, John requested to be the one to present the project, surprising everyone as he was the youngest among them, but they encouraged and supported him. John spoke about the project and how each member of the team needs support to reveal the light within them. When the video describing their lives in their youth was presented, it impressed and moved everyone, and they supported and encouraged the team. Jin requested that another video about the project's behind the scenes be played, showing the team's exhaustion and how they helped and supported each other. Everyone admired their friendship and dedication, and they won the Best Project and Presentation Award. After the success, Chuck meets Jean and tells her he is going to join the army, thanking her for staying for him all this time, and expressing regret that her presence was granted and he couldn't confess his love till he lost her. He wishes her to be happy in the future. He hugs her goodbye and she closes her eyes till he leaves because she doesn't want to see him crying. Ron confesses her feelings for Yoon, and she tells him she knows he knows, but she doesn't say anything about it. So she decides to stay away from him, but they will remain friends. Ran goes to the club to run, and there they meet and start talking, discovering that they may feel attracted to each other. Afterwards, Young returns to John's apartment and tells him that he will spend the summer at his uncle's house to take care of his mother, which saddens John. But Young assures him that he will remain his friend and will return to see him. They spend enjoyable time together, exchanging laughs and jokes, then return to studying after 2 months. In class, John finds himself asleep, and Young sits behind him, trying to wake him up, accidentally spilling coffee on him, which makes them laugh. After finishing their studies, Young looks for a job, expressing that there's no time for love, but he feels happy with his friends who lighten his burden. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and check out our other selection of recaps. Take care.